Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the final week of Sagalong. This is a read-along of Icelandic sagas that happens every year. Previous years it happened in February, and this year it's happening in April. And presumably it will happen in April next year as well. But there are a lot of hosts, and I will list them all in the description. And for this year's Sagalong, we read one big saga, and we took the whole month to read it. That was Njal's Saga. I read it in this Penguin Classic Edition, edited with an introduction and notes and translated by Robert Cook. So the last chunk today of Njal's Saga that we read was chapters 121 through 159, because the author couldn't write one more chapter and make the number of chapters in the work a nice even number of 160. They had to just write 159. But anyway, in this chunk we kind of have the major climax, the event that the book is named for, the burning of Njal, the burning of his home. His home is burned with him and his wife and many of the members of his family in it. And it's this horrific act that kind of hangs over the whole rest of the saga. Basically the entire the events of this chunk are all centered around dealing with this event and the compensation that's demanded and not given, and the retaliations that are taken for it, and so on and so forth. And I have to say that the sequence where the burning happens is yet another of the just insanely great action set pieces, and I found it also to be very, very moving. It was just, I felt very emotional while it was happening. This character of Njal in particular, who we've just gotten to know so well over the course of this epic saga. And Sarpedon as well. Sarpedon is this character. He's one of Njal's older sons, and he often doesn't come off as all that sympathetic. But you do kind of get a connection with the guy, and it's hard not to kind of feel something for him when he dies. And there's actually kind of a cool scene where he is taken out of the rubble, where Sarpedon's body is taken out of the rubble. Njal and his wife Bergthora are somehow miraculously not burned, or maybe it's not miraculous, there might have been some legit protection, but Sarpedon's body is also somehow not burned. And there's a really cool little scene where they find his body, and I'm going to read you the text. Sarpedon was then stripped of his clothes. They had not been burned away. He had folded his arms in a cross with the right arm above, and they found 2 marks on him, one between his shoulders and the other on his chest. And in both places a cross had been burned, and people thought he had probably burned these marks himself. Everybody said that it was easier to be in the presence of the dead Sarpedon than they had expected, for no one was afraid of him. I just thought that was a fascinating passage. Why did he do that, right? Why were his arms in that position? Why did he burn these crosses on him? And what was the statement about them not seeing him as scary as before? I mean, maybe it's just because he's dead and they don't have to worry about him being his typical abrasive self, but I thought that was such a striking image. I don't know if it has some symbolic meaning or whatever, but I just thought that this image of this guy with these crosses burned into him was really kind of a powerful and interesting image. And so anyway, the burning of Njal is the major climax of the whole saga, and obviously of this chunk. And it's a really powerful scene, and I have to say that after it happened, I had a really hard time being all that interested in everything that was going on afterward, because the characters who were left are mostly characters who we haven't known for a very long time. I feel like Flossie is the one who we've gotten to know to any degree, and he's interesting. There's Mord Valgerdsson, I believe that's his name, Mord, who actually participated in the burning to a degree, or at least helped with it, but then also comes off as kind of sympathetic in this last chunk. And that's kind of something that's nice about Njal's Saga, is even the characters who aren't great aren't fully evil. They often have semi-redeeming qualities, or at least they have qualities of them that aren't as bad as their bad qualities. And so Mord actually feels obligated to take up the prosecution of the men who engaged in the burning of Njal, and so he plays a large role in this chunk. So I would say that Mord and Flosi are the two characters I find the most interesting. There's also Kari, who is the one man who escaped from the burning, who tries to sort of survive and not get killed for having killed some of the people who participated in the burning. But on the whole, I just feel like there's this sense in this last part of the saga that all the great characters are kind of gone, and so I just had a bit of a hard time paying attention. Maybe that's part of the point, you know? I feel like a theme of this saga might be kind of the passing into the netherworld of this world of these epic heroes like Njal and Gunnar and so on and so forth. And I feel like that might be part of what the author wanted you to feel in this last section, like all the great characters are gone, and that's just how the world works. Eventually, great things pass away. It actually feels, to me, very kind of Tolkien-esque, you know, at the Lord of the Rings, the elves all left, right? Yeah, there's quite a bit in the saga that has reminded me of Tolkien, which of course makes a lot of sense, because Tolkien, I imagine, loved the sagas and knew them like the back of his hand, but that made it not as enjoyable a reading experience, because it was just a bunch of characters I didn't care that much about. And there was also this extended scene where the prosecution is trying to win a legal battle against the men who engaged in the burning of Njal. And that is just horribly tedious. There's all this, like, legal ceremony that they have to go to where they, like, name witnesses and give a testimony, and they have to continually name witnesses again and give the same testimony, or a testimony that sounds very similar. And that is all really, really dull. And that takes up probably about 10 to 20 pages of this chunk. Out of like 100 pages. So it's not an insignificant amount of this part. But then, yeah, it was just hard for me to stay interested in this part of the saga. I don't think it at all diminishes what I have loved about this saga, which is the, you know, really powerful and interesting themes surrounding revenge and the law and the uses and misuses of the law and the violence of human nature and all of these things. I have really loved this saga. I think it is going to be one of my favorite works of literature, like, ever. Certainly one of my favorite works of literature of, like, the pre-modern era, I suppose. And I think it is a towering work, to be honest. But it just felt like it ended in kind of a fizzle instead of a bang, you know? And that's a little bit unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. It's certainly not the only great book that ends in kind of a fizzle rather than with a bang, but anyway, so yeah, I don't have many deep thoughts about this section. I didn't really take many notes, but it has been a great reading experience. I've really enjoyed reading it with all the other hosts. I will watch all of their videos after I post my own video, but thank you all for watching and commenting and reading along if you did, and hopefully I will see you all next year. I'm not sure what we're going to read next year, but we will decide when it comes. So anyway, I will leave it at that. Talk to you all later. Bye.